"Hey, Llama, hey, how about a little something, for the effort, And he says, there won't be any money, but when you die, on your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness and a chance to listen to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have an entrepreneur, athlete, laxer, problem solver, and the founder of Signature Lacrosse. He has been taking a problem-solving approach to build innovative products, distribute them in disruptive ways to progress the experience of the sport and make the sport more accessible for everyone. Thrive Loud listeners, Dan Soviero. Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Another beautiful day in Tampa. Really appreciate you having me, Lou. Excited.
I'm excited to be here. You hit the jackpot on things I could love to talk about, which is sports, entrepreneurialism, problem solving, and picking a real specific niche. Now, I've kind of read up and learned your story. I want you to share with the listeners, if you could, a little bit about how this all came to be, because I think that'll just help get us started. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good. Yeah, it was really a pretty simple idea to start. All lacrosse balls were the same, and wanted to make a better ball, and really zeroed in on that. Tried to do it myself. Quickly realized I was not going to be the one to come up with it. Found and networked and met a rubber chemist on LinkedIn, partnered up with him, found some manufacturers overseas, pinned them all together, got product samples, and then that was really like the start of the journey. And once we materialized that vision and brought to life a better ball, then it was kind of getting stale and wasn't really keeping my attention. I had recruited a co-founder, one of my best friends, Nick Martin, and he was starting to get a little tapped too, and we kind of saw the ceiling wasn't as big as we would have hoped. So we knew we needed to create a little moat and make it a little defensible. So instead of getting IP on the formula, we went and partnered with the biggest pro league with an exclusive multi-year agreement, first right of refusal, so we could grow into that balding basketball of lacrosse as the sport continues to grow. And around that time, we sat back and we said, all right, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to be entrepreneurs for the rest of our lives. We love this. We love building businesses, our favorite game. We're so lucky to have found that passion really early on in our lives and really doubled down on it. And so it was, should we start different businesses, or should we really focus entrepreneurially on Signature? And the answer was there's a lot of other problems that we could solve in our sport, and this is the only business we can start right in college with 10 years of experience because we've been playing. And so
I want to rewind a little bit.
So we doubled down.
Yeah, I want to pause on this, Dan, because this is interesting. Okay, so for the listeners who aren't lacrosse fans, what was wrong with the lacrosse ball itself? And explain maybe to the listeners, when if you're a baseball fan, I think Rawlings has been making baseballs for however long, Spalding for the NBA. There's some standardization.
Tennis is the best example. So
okay, sure.
You pull tennis balls out of the container and the air compression pops, and then you can use the tennis balls for 1-2 sessions. During quarantine, we used them for 30 or 40 sessions, me and my friends. But you can't get a lot out of them. And so similar with lacrosse balls, they weren't really lasting very long, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they would harden and grease over, and we call them drill killers.
Okay.
So somebody has a drill killer in their stick, we tell them to hawk it over the fence. It's good for our business. It's good for the practice. It's good for the players. So it's a running joke we have now.
So here you came up with a real solid way to fix the ball, a consistent, more formulaic way. So what is the signature lacrosse ball? What's the key thing that it has? Yeah, sorry.
It was really two things. It was really which I didn't realize at the time, but it was actually manufacturing process as well as chemical composition. And so we made a ball that lasted twice as long. And we didn't stop there. And I think that's really at the core of who we are as a company and who we are as individuals on the team. So when we made this better ball, it was the first in the market. It created a new category. We've had competitors come in and start to push the standards forward as well, which is awesome. We really love to see that. And so but I had always known there was more that I wanted to do with this. And the ball market isn't very big. It's not like you're going to get massively rich off of it, but it's just something inside of me that I just wanted to change. And so if you look at the evolution of a lacrosse ball, it went from being, like a rock to a leather bound ball to porcelain, I think at one point, to natural rubber. And so there was a progression, and the design changed along the ways. At one point it was actually a sergeant, the fish, the skull of one of those fish was actually what they used as a ball.
Oh my God.
In one of the Native American tribes. So, and I saw that in a video, so I don't really know if that, I don't know the history that well, but I wasn't there. I saw how this ball, the way it is right now, if you just think like from a macro marketing standpoint, if you draw a baseball on a piece of paper, you know what it is. You draw a football, you know what it is. Volleyball, you know what it is. You draw a lacrosse ball on a piece of paper, it's a circle.
Right.
And so from a macro branding standpoint and just being able to identify as a player with like, that's a lacrosse ball, instead of that's a giant bouncy rubber ball. So we came up with this concept. We'd been working with the Pro League for a long time, for about 3 years on it. It's called the Pro S1. And essentially what we did is we took the same concepts that they were using in golf and the same concepts that they were using in tennis. And so in golf, the reason that they have the divots is so that you can, it decreases drag. So it allows the ball to stay on plane for longer.
Remember, it's dipples. If I've been trying to get rid of the divots as well, my friend.
Yeah.
Like chucking the ground too much.
Yeah. Dimples.
Yes,
dimples.
Sorry.
So I'm so used to hearing divots whenever I play golf.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So that keeps the ball on plane for longer, increases the speed. And then because we have the way that we designed it, there's more compression. So on impact, it's going to compress more. There's a larger surface area. And so there's less pounds per square inch of force transferred. So you don't end up with massive bruises like your buddy, the picture you showed me earlier.
We're going to give a shout out to former Thrive Loud guest, Jeff Dorst, who right before this interview shared an image of, my goodness, a welt on his bicep from playing goalie, getting hit twice in one game in the same spot. It was pretty nasty. But anyway.
Tough guy. Yeah.
He survived. He's a survivor. He can.
And he's still in the cage, which is awesome.
Still doing it.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So and then from tennis, just tracking the ball. We were the official ball of the Federation of International Lacrosse, the World Games in 2018, which was on ESPN. And in certain games where, depending on the time of the day, there was a shade, because of the way the stadium was set up, there was a shade over the field. And so the visibility of the ball became really challenging. Yep. And they tried different colors, and it was just really challenging. And so we took a step back and we said, all right, well, who's figured this out already? Tennis. They're serving over 100 miles an hour. It's the same size as a lacrosse ball, and they have to track it pretty rapidly. And so we found that Pantone and just applied that same color code to the lacrosse ball, to the Pro S1 ball. And so I share that entire story just to really wrap around the ethos of our company. And just when we set out to solve problems, and if we don't fully solve it, or we feel like there's still a next step and we could drive it forward even further, it's not really about the money. It's more about just the innovation and just progressing the game. And if we stay true to that, I think, the money will come and we'll be successful and we'll have fun doing it.
I totally agree with you. And I think it's great. You said you got, these are buddies that you've played lacrosse yourself, right? You played in college as well. You want to share that a little bit? You played at Tampa, if I'm correct?
Yeah, I actually I picked up the sport in 8th grade, so I was pretty late to it. I grew up in Florida. I was always a 3-sport athlete, super competitive. Still am told by my wife that I can be a little bit too competitive at times. But growing up with a brother, we played sports. That's what we did. We played one-on-one from the time school ended until mom forced us inside because it was time to go to bed. And we played everything: basketball, soccer, wrestling, football. We played everything. And then in 8th grade, I picked up lacrosse. Our football coach dropped sticks on the ground and said, "You guys are going to do this in the off season." We didn't know what it was. But I quickly fell in love with it. I thought it was an awesome game. I was fortunate to have some amazing coaches growing up. They've built an incredible program here in Florida. One gentleman in particular really had a massive impact on my life, Andrew Bolger, and his family. And I played in a tournament up north and ended up getting a Division I scholarship to play at St. John's University in Queens.
Yeah.
And then after about a year, when they brought out the snow plows to clear the field so we could practice, I was like, I think I'm in the wrong place. So I transferred to
Florida
University
out of you.
Tampa.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, transferred to University of Tampa, played there for another year, and then the business really started to grow, and we were up to, I think, four or five employees, and it was time to drop out and focus on the business.
Starting a business in college is one thing, and so many people try it. You find a niche with it. Aside from solving the problem, which you described great here, and your passion for the game and figuring out something that there's a need. I mean, the reality, this is true. I loved your analogy. If you saw a picture of any sport ball, you would know what it is, but when you look to the cross ball, it's just a circle. But can we talk about the growth of the sport of lacrosse? And for our listeners here who might not be as familiar with it, this is one of the fastest growing youth sports around. I could tell this from the Northeast. And as you've said, it boomed in Florida over the last 10 years and only continues to grow. So I think you could be sitting on something really big. You weren't talking about this as, the money will come, but you do see, I mean, even year to year, the demand and the growth and the popularity of the sport only continues to rise, does it not?
Yeah, there's definitely a nice tailwind, and we know that the things that we're doing are going to help accelerate it, which is really cool. And that's something that, as a former player, that I really, and a current coach, I still coach. I want to see the opportunity that I was fortunate enough to have growing up through sports available to as many kids as possible, and never unavailable, really. It's not that every kid in the world should play sports. It's that they should have the opportunity to. And if they choose to, great. And if they don't, maybe there's another path for them. Maybe they like something different, But yeah, I think we have a really nice tailwind with lacrosse. That after we solved the ball, we moved on to complete sticks. So if you could imagine trying to play tennis with a racket that had loose strings, that's pretty much what it was like when you got a first year junior stick from Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever. And so we spent a lot of time. I went back and forth to Asia a month at a time, taught them how to pass, how to catch, what the sticks were going to be used for. So they understood why we had this massive quality control process and all these training videos and all of this. We took the pocket, the actual mesh in the stick, which is the most important thing in a lacrosse stick, is how's the ball going to come out of the stick. And so we took a lot of time to really get that right. Boys, girls, junior sticks, men's sticks. And again, like there's not a ton of money in the junior sticks, and that's why it's been so overlooked for so long. But as a coach, I'm usually coaching 8, 9-year-olds. It's usually their first time. I'm restringing 29 out of 36, and the 30th one, I give them my stick because I'm so tired of it. And so that's a problem. And if you think about like, how is this the fastest growing sport if the first stick that they get sucks? Right. I played Division I lacrosse. I can't even throw with half of the sticks that they get right off the shelf. The ball just gets caught on the top string and throws right down to your ankle. So sport's hard enough to learn as it is, and we really wanted to fix that. And so now they've been on the market for 2 years. We've seen like 200% year-over-year growth in that product category. And then we moved on to the goals. So in college, I had the pleasure of stringing a couple goals one hot summer day when I was down in Tampa. It was like it felt like 120 on the turf. We're like an hour into it, and we're halfway through the first goal. And I'm like, this is brutal. So we came up with a quick connect. So instead of stringing the net to the goal frame, you screw it in. It takes 5 minutes instead of 2 hours. And we haven't stopped there. We have a new innovation on that category that's coming out at the end of this year that I think is really going to change that whole market, or that whole product category. And then about 3 years ago, I watched my wife, who is a youth program director down here, spend over 100 hours ordering uniforms and fan gear for the families in her program. And that was everything from collecting checks, sizes, numbers from the parents, to placing the order with a sales rep, receiving a big box of uniforms, sorting through it, bagging the uniforms up to hand out at the fields, only find out factory screwed up sizes for over 10% of the kids, forcing a replacement order that wouldn't get there until the end of the season. And so this just creates a horrible friction in the relationship between the program director and their client, the parent, over product when they're a service company. Yeah. And so that to me just didn't make sense. And we took a step back and looked at it holistically, and there's 8 people in the value chain. That's brutal. Like that never works. And so we cut 5 of the 8 out. We domesticated manufacturing. We automated the transmission of the order information using APIs. And this cut the lead times from 12 to 14 weeks down to a standard 21 days, and we have a rush 7-day option as well. So it also cut the error rate from over 10% down to under 1% and dropping, because there's no human intervention now. The information goes right through to information systems, and then the order's processed, and it's a lot harder to screw up. So now we sign programs up to 3-year agreements. We create this custom team store for them. Comes with 40 custom fan gear items, hats, water bottles, polos, their uniforms for the season. Unlike traditional stores, it's open 24/7, 365. There's no minimum. There's no 2-week order window. There's no headache for the program director. So we also include all of our ball sticks goals. So it's really a one-stop shop for the parents. Nice. And then as they come on to order the required uniform for the season, they get exposed to everything we offer. And so when we really figured that out, that was when we said, okay, this works in lacrosse really well. I wonder how many other sports have this same exact problem.
I was just going down that line of questioning, Dan, because you've got one lane that you've been focused on, really great, but obviously you're hitting upon the chance to make changes to fix inefficiencies in other sports. Is that where the future of Signature is heading?
Yeah. So we built a really incredible team. We raised a seed round last year, about $500,000, and that gave us what we needed to launch this team store concept. We planned on signing 38 programs by the end of this year. We just signed program number 62. So the product market fit has been through the roof. And we were able to bring on and attract some really incredible people to the team. One of the partners here, Andrew Gilliland, has been our director of e-com and systems, now VP, for about two or 3 years now, and he's been helping me kind of build out this development, this software development, and this supply chain solution. And then recently we brought on Mary Horwath, who was CMO at Rollerblade, took them from 2 million to 130 million and exited over a 7-year period, and then was CMO at Shock Doctor, McDavid, and then United Sports Brands, and exited both of those 2 United Sports Brands, then went on to be their CMO. So we've built a team really to scale into the other sports and to leverage the experience and the been there, done that, to avoid a lot of the headaches that we ran into the first couple of years. So the plan is tackle 1 new sport a year for the next 5 years and scale up to 35 to 50 million in annual revenues, and then look for either an exit or look for the next problem to solve.
So let me ask you this question. You provided a great understanding of what Signature does, and you've heard, obviously, and all the listeners here, we've got a guy, obviously, who could sell, who comes up with innovative ideas, who manages a business, who also is involved in the problem solving. When you think about the responsibilities and the different hats that you wear as a leader, Dan, if you got to pick one of the jobs that you got, because you got a bunch of them, and you have to do that one, that's the first choice you want to do. Of the things you love doing, running the business, selling the products, solving the problems, thinking about the vision of where this company goes, being that leader, which is the job you like doing most?
This is like an easy one for me. Leadership, 100%, because it kind of brings all of those things into one, where I wholeheartedly believe we are our own biggest problem. And so the more time we can spend on ourselves and on understanding ourselves and understanding how we show up with other people and how we can inspire other people to do things that they didn't even think they could do. That's my favorite part. It gives me goosebumps just talking about it. Am I the best at it? I don't think so. I think that I have a long way to go, but it's something that I've been committed to for a very long time, and I will be for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I love asking guests on this program this question. We all have days where things are kicking on all cylinders. Numbers are through the roof. Business is going well. You're solving the problems you want. You're making happy customers and figuring out ways to do things better. But we all have days, as you know, where things aren't quite kicking on all cylinders and we're a little off our game, or we're not quite thriving, if you would. On those days when you have trouble thriving, what practice do you seek, or what individual do you seek out to get yourself, Dan Soviero, back on the thriving track?
I like to go and hug my wife. She is amazing. And
love it.
It's impossible to be anything but happy when you're around her. So she's really an inspiration.
Let me tell you, we just recorded this the day after Mother's Day, and I guess I'm gonna have to go hug my wife now, I guess.
Yeah. Never a bad time. Never a bad time.
Let's do this, Dan. Admin part of the show here. Share with the listeners all the places people can learn about you, Signature Lacrosse, websites, URLs. We will put it all in the show notes, but it always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Dan Soviero, S like Sam, O, V like Victor, IERO. And you can come to our website and check us out, signaturelacrosse.com. And yeah, we'd love to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, social. Um, we're all over all the different channels. We've got an amazing marketing team. They do a really great job. So would love to connect. We're raising a $2 million round right now. We're about 25% subscribed, $25,000 minimum. We're raising at a $10 million valuation. If anyone wants to learn more, they can reach out to me directly. It's Soviero. My last name's S like Sam, O, V like Victor, IERO at signaturelacrosse.com.
Awesome.
And it's been awesome. Yeah, I really love being on the show. It's really cool.
Oh, we got more to go, my friend, before we wrap things up here. We get permission, Dan, to go down Fun Street with me here on Thrive Loud.
Yeah, green light.
Okay. First of all, can you share with the listeners your all-time favorite movie?
Yeah, Remember the Titans.
And why does that movie connect so much with you?
It really just it was probably the first movie I watched where I had a visceral reaction and I got goosebumps and I felt this like feeling of like, I don't know, just something inside of me coming alive. And it was in the moment where the coach takes them all, they're in the camp, the coach takes them all on the jog and they end up looking over the field where so many people gave their lives during the Civil War for freedom, and just connecting, that gap between the different ethnicities, and just sports has such an amazing power to bridge those gaps and to really show people like we're all humans. And when you're fighting for the same thing and you're pouring blood, sweat, and tears in, those people you're doing it with become family. Doesn't matter what color they are, what gender they are, whether they're like men, women, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just all about, their character. And I think that's really an important thing for life.
No. Left side, strong side. I always love that.
Yeah,
when
I
those
love
two guys
that.
are at it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do the speed round here in Fun Street. I got a little curveball at the end of what we do here. I'm going to ask you something. I want you to come up with the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you these questions. These are things that mostly lift you up, make you feel good, kind of pump you up, or maybe make you thrive. You ready?
Cool. Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. A song you love to hear or one that pumps you up.
Better Together, Jack Johnson, wedding song.
Favorite food that is not a dessert.
Steak.
Favorite dessert.
Favorite dessert, banana cream pie.
Okay. An activity you wish you did more of.
Activity I wish I did more of. I don't think I have one. I think I'm very fortunate to get to do what I like to do.
Which will make the next part of this question even better. An activity you wish you did less of.
An activity I wish I did less of. Sleeping. I wish I could be awake 24/7. I have so much fun. Sometimes it's hard to sleep.
Dan, if I could snap my fingers and you can go anywhere in the world, where would you be right now?
I'll probably be right here. Yeah.
In the
very,
moment
very
presence.
blessed. Yeah.
Final question for Dan Soviero. For those that will see some of the artwork and the links to Signature Lacrosse, there is a lovely flamingo represented here on your logo. And there's a lot of messages about join the flock. How did this become the branding and the messaging around Signature Lacrosse, with any specific connection to this animal? Yeah.
So we actually started with Signature Lacrosse. So the name Signature came from we actually started off doing offering customization on the balls as well. So we would put the college's logo on the ball, and so we were always knew we wanted to like democratize customization, make it more accessible, and give programs the ability to like brand more. And so that was kind of how that came. And then the flamingo, the logo, I was fortunate enough to meet a gentleman, David Capici. He became our first investor, became a mentor, and now a friend. And his firm, Sparksu, is a marketing firm down here. They helped us kind of through the ideation stage, which was incredibly complicated. And I didn't realize how much went into a logo.
Yeah.
And then once we settled on like 4 designs, we knew we wanted to do something that was an animal. We knew that because it was different. It wasn't in lacrosse yet. Nobody was doing it. We knew we wanted it to be unisex. So it could be for men, could be for women. We knew we wanted to be able to apply it to not just lacrosse balls, but also to apparel one day. And so we didn't know exactly how, but we kind of knew eventually we would be in the position to take on a Nike or an Under Armour if we didn't just exit pretty early. And so then when we had like 4 or 5 different designs, we went to our audience, to our market, and we put it out on social to all of our fans. What do you guys like the best? And it was pretty unanimous that the flamingo was the move. And if you look close, the outside of the flamingo
is the lacrosse head. I see that.
Shape lacrosse head, yeah. And then the neck of the flamingo is actually in an S for signature.
Oh wow, I got it. Oh, that's really well done. Nice. I did not catch. I saw the verb, and now I'm seeing the S in there. Very smart, man. Really cool.
Yeah, I can't take credit for it, but
yeah, I know. Well, yes, you can, because you certainly can, and you start shit, and you just did right here. Or I'm giving it to you and the whole team. So this is great stuff. Dan Soviero, Signature Lacrosse, and probably other things to come down the road. Great to hear your story, your innovation, your passion for what you do. Man, you're solving problems and you're tackling some things that people would love to fix. And I think that's a great thing. We love problem solvers. We love sports. And we also love the competitives you have at it. Thanks for coming on Thrive Loud today.
Thanks so much for having me, though. I really, really enjoyed it.
You got it. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.